job, everything you work for. I don't want you getting tangled up in this. I don't know if I'll follow the rules.
You know you can't get rid of me that easily.
Come on, seriously.
If the roles were reversed, would you risk it for me?
This is off the record. That means you don't talk about it.
You think he's really gonna show?
He'll show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Maurice Brown Show. We have a special guest today, an actress who is known for Animal Kingdom, The L Word, Generation Q, the episodic Sons of Thunder, and Washington's Armor, and the faith-based series, the trailer you were just watching of Vindication. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show the very talented Amanda Erickson. What's up, Amanda? How are ya?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Hey, I am glad to have you on the show. I was talking about your episode in Vindicate. We're going to dive into that a little bit later. I actually want to ask you, during this pandemic as an actress, have you been getting a lot of stuff?
Wow, what a loaded question that is these days.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredibly different now than it was in 2020, of course. 2020 was, simply put, a disaster. Pretty much a train wreck for the entertainment industry and actors and actresses, entertainers everywhere. So 2020, not a lot was going on. But now that we're hitting the tail end of everything, and now that productions have a grasp on how to move forward, how to safely film, how to keep everyone on set, it's going much better. Auditions are rolling in. I will never complain ever again about being busy after the way last year went. So yeah, it feels so different already than last year did. And obviously very grateful for the industry opening back up, and I'm ready to rock and roll. No more sitting around.
Well, the cool thing about this platform, though, in this era, it's like now you have connection with like the whole world. Literally, you can meet colleagues in this business of entertainment, whether it be producers, directors, fellow actors, comics, whatever. I mean, I've got friends in Turkey, the UK, Switzerland, Canada now, just through this platform. I mean, fellow comedians and actors. Heck, I'm in Woodbridge, Virginia, just outside D.C. You're way over there on the left coast in California. Hey, and we're doing it. So, I mean, it's pretty cool from that standpoint, and the ability to audition is a lot easier. But I'm wondering, what is it like on set now, the protocol for the COVID-19?
Yeah, it's really different. Being on set prior to COVID, there was always this really community feeling atmosphere. And that has been taken away a little bit just because you can't mingle with people like you used to.
Yeah.
And so everyone has their lanes that they have to stay in. And, obviously there's COVID counselors, I guess you could say, on set that are trying to keep everything in place the way it should be, making sure everyone's following protocol and stuff. So it's pretty different. I mean, masks on when you're not rolling, masks off when you are rolling.
Yeah.
And so obviously that's not how it was before COVID. I've never had to wear a mask on set before.
Yeah.
So it is really different. But of course, everyone's just trying to do their job. Everyone's just trying to keep their job too. I think that's a big piece that people miss, is that, when someone gets COVID on set, at least out here in LA, the whole production has to shut down. And that is literally hundreds of jobs that get lost for weeks on end, and people lose a paycheck during that time, and so everyone's trying to be really careful with it. And so of course it feels different, and we're all ready for it to not feel different anymore, but I'm just happy that productions are back up and running and that we can even go to work now, because for a solid 7, 8, even 9 months there was absolutely nothing going on. So I'm just glad that the train is rolling again.
There you go, Amanda. The train is rolling again, and I think we're not too far away from getting back to normal. So now you were in Vindication, in episode 6, which I thought was an absolutely awesome episode. I'm a huge fan of the show. And episode 6 is one of my favorites. And one of the things about Vindication that I love is the fact that for a faith-based series production or product, Jared O'Flaherty, who's the writer, creator, director of Vindication, he's not afraid to tackle tough subjects. I absolutely love and admire Jared's fearlessness. I don't want to really even use that word, because I think we need to be just forthright and honest about what's happening around us, which is what I think the faith-based community needs to improve, in entertainment needs to improve on that. But Jared, I think he's got a template for how you do it. You were in episode 6 and it dealt with human trafficking.
Yeah.
Very intense episode. What was it like filming that particular episode?
It was a whirlwind.
Yeah.
It was a whirlwind of an experience, a great experience. It's actually a really interesting story. I don't know if anyone else has shared this. I might not even be allowed to share it, but I'm going to share it anyway.
There you go. Go ahead. Just let it rip, Amanda.
I was not originally cast in that role.
Okay.
I honestly can't remember if I got the original audition for it. It was, so long ago now. I can't remember those details. But originally another actress was cast in the part, and things just didn't work out. So they did a second round of auditions, and that's when I got the call to audition. And by the time that happened, we were about, I think, 5 days out of filming. Okay. So really quick turnaround with that. Auditioned, obviously got the part. I had about 3 days at that point to get all of my prep work, character background, do as much as I could to breathe life into this story. And then I was on set, and it was go, go, go. And that's the way I love it. Indie filmmaking is my favorite kind of filmmaking, because it's truly a collaborative and a team effort. When you're working on larger productions, a lot of times the collaboration happens only within a core group of people. And with indie filmmaking, you got to hustle and you got to go, and everyone has to be on board the whole process. And so it was great. We filmed at this campground that looked like a hotel, and it was a great experience. We were in this closed room pretty much all day, and so everyone was together all day, and it was great. I loved getting directed by Jared. I would work with him 1,000 times over. It was a lot of fun. And the production value when you're on set and getting to see, the DP do his thing, sound, lighting, getting to see everyone work together. Yeah. You can just feel it. You can feel the chemistry happening, and you can feel when it's not happening. And I definitely felt that it was working, what we were doing. And so I was really excited to see how it turned out. And I'm so glad it's gotten the reviews that it has. And it was a great experience.
What was the actor's name that played the character of the gentleman that was rescuing the girls?
Yes. So Jeff Fenter.
Okay.
Is his name. And don't you just love him in that episode?
Amanda, the guy was so convincing.
So convincing.
Yeah, in his role. And I have a huge amount of respect for the way that he pulled that off, because there was a great degree of authenticity about his spirit.
Yeah.
Of the character. You know, he had that thing fully grasped. I thought,
Absolutely.
loved it.
Yeah, and getting to obviously partner with him in that scene, he handled everything, because this is, it is a really sensitive topic, and
Yes,
you
yes,
want to make sure you're doing the topic justice, and you want to honor the story, you want to honor the scenario that we were playing, and he made me feel so safe being able to explore within our scene, and
yeah, yeah,
such a tender guy in real life.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so that I feel like that translated so beautifully on screen,
yeah.
just
It
his
did.
tenderness, his openness, and his willingness. And yeah, Jeff is great.
That one, Jeff Fenter, correct?
Yes.
That episode had me choked up at that was an amazing episode. And I tell you right now, he had a tall order because, he's this horrible person from the, outset of the show. And they're trying to set him up, and they catch him. And then, he recounts, or they recounted his encounter with your character.
Mhm.
And just from beginning to end, the interrogation scene with Terry, everything he did was very authentic. Like you just loved the guy. You loved him. So I'm sure that was just awesome being able to work with him. What was it like working with Jared O'Flaherty?
It was great. He had a really great way of just pulling something different out of us. We would capture what he felt we needed, and then he would just keep pulling just to get different options. And he was very collaborative with us actors as well. We did a couple rehearsals prior to filming day, virtual rehearsals, because everything happened so quickly. We couldn't meet in person before filming day. So we did a couple read-throughs on Zoom before Zoom was even a thing. We did that.
How about that?
Yeah. I never thought I'd see the day where I'm doing table reads on Zoom. It's wild. But yeah, he was awesome. He's a great guy, great director. He is onto something with this series. He's onto something with the eye that he has for conservative content, but still making it very grounded in what's happening in the world, which is obviously really important to share. And so, yeah, he's great.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Amanda. He's definitely onto something. And I believe this is a template for all faith-based films going forward. If they would just watch the way that Jared handles very meaty, dicey subjects, because there's a way to do that.
Sure.
There's a way to do it without sinking to the level of the subject matter, which I think is what scares or frightens a lot of Christian programming, because they just don't quite know how to get in there. But Jared, he does.
Yeah.
And I think it's very much so needed. And I'll say this, I'll move on, because I always say this about Vindication, but it looks like Law and Order. And once you're into the program and you realize, oh my goodness, this is not Law and Order, but by that time you're invested into the program and you just want to keep following it.
Yeah.
You just want to keep following
it. And Law and Order, I grew up, and still I watch Law and Order. SVU is one of my favorite shows of all time.
Oh yeah, you got to love it.
I absolutely love it, but not everyone can watch that show. Law and Order SVU is not appropriate for everybody. It dives in. And so that is the beautiful thing about Vindication, is it does mimic a lot of the styling of what those types of shows are about, without making anyone feel drastically uncomfortable with watching it with their kids. And it's like, if you want to start conversations, entertainment is a great, easy way to make conversations happen in your home. And feeling safe to watch something that's going to start a conversation in your home is really important. And Vindication does that for sure.
Now, you have some really great colleagues in Vindication. For example, Terry, who plays Detective Gary Travis,
Yeah.
Awesome job. He does an awesome job as Detective
Always.
Travis. But also, you work with Todd in another program called Washington's Armor.
Yes.
And before I ask you any more about it, what platform can fans find Washington's Armor?
So Washington's Armor is not released yet. It's still being worked on. So I don't want to throw out any days or possible time frames out there, but it's coming soon. We're still working on it. Obviously, COVID threw a huge wrench in the plan of release time and filming schedule and all that kind of stuff. So it's not released yet. That's all I can say.
Okay. I was hoping maybe you could give us a little background on the setup or the, what do you call it, the setting of it and that type of thing.
Yes. So Washington's Armor is a period piece, takes place in the early colonial days of the United States. And it's basically about the rise of our first president, George Washington. And it's about who he was before the man that we know him as, right? So we all know him as the president, but who was this guy before he became the president? What was his story? What was his life? And so this series really dives into that, really explores that. And I love it. It's fantastic. I can't wait for this to come out and for everyone to see it. And it's really wonderful.
It looks like it's going to be pretty awesome. I can't wait until that comes out. I'd love to see that for sure. And so we'll keep everything on the hush hush until we get closer down the road when they're actually gonna release it. So you have an extensive background, Amanda, in stage and theater, which is a different ballgame because everything is live. You don't get any retakes and so forth. Which do you prefer, stage or film?
Oh, I can't answer that question.
Okay.
They're so different as far as the actor experience is very different. I mean, there's nothing like performing in front of a live audience.
Yeah.
I live for that type of pressure. I love the energy that you get from the audience, and it's different every time you do it. So you just can't compare the two. I do have an incredibly soft spot in my heart for theater because that's where I started, and that's where my love for acting really grew from. And so I can't say if I prefer one over the other.
Yeah.
So
well, I'll say this. I had a chance to be in the film Love Different in 2016 with Tommy Ford from the TV show Martin from back in the 90s. And he's done Harlem Nights. He had his own comedy all-star special on Showtime. And then Jen Gotson was in the Oscar-nominated film Frost Nixon. And I'm a newbie to the game here. And it's like, oh, my gosh. I'm like, okay, I don't want to mess up on anything. And I was like a central character with a lot of verbiage here and there. And being a comic, I'm doing live. That's all we do, live stuff. So I'm thinking it wouldn't be that difficult, but it was rather challenging because you don't do a scene one time. They want to do it like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. And when you got a lot of verbiage, it's like, oh my God, I got to do that again. So I had a newfound respect for actors. That's a difficult deal, but the stage and theater deal, you're live. And I saw an Actors Roundtable about the nerves that can kick in for some people. It's like I saw an Actors Roundtable where they were talking about that they would leave a bucket on the side of the stage for the actors, if they needed it. Have you ever had any experiences like that where you've witnessed some pretty bizarre things?
Not as far as like wanting to barf because you're so no, I've never gotten that nervous before. I mean, of course I get nervous. I get nervous before, I got nervous before doing this. You know what I mean? Like everyone gets nervous. So of course I feel the nerves. But you just you have to embody those. You have to use those and just reshift them in your body
exactly.
so that your brain doesn't recognize it as nerves, recognize it as energy, and use that to propel you. And so I've never gotten so nervous that I've wanted to barf though. So that's new for me.
That's funny. You know, everyone has their process or ritual of how they handle. And I mean, particularly when you're talking about live, because you get one take.
Yeah.
This is it. You got to nail it. You know, so I guess you kind of feed off of that pressure.
I do. I live for pressure. I grew up in sports as well, and so having to perform in that arena too, there's a lot of pressure. So I think I just got accustomed to it, and so I enjoy it. And that's a huge reason of why I miss in-person auditions so much, because there's so much pressure surrounding that moment. You know, you're live, you're with people. It could be 20 people in a room watching your audition, depending on what level of, you know, where you're at in the audition process.
Right.
So, I miss that. I miss the energy. I miss getting to feed off of people and getting a vibe for, you know, if they're enjoying your performance, not enjoying your performance, you know, all of the levels. I do. I love it. What can I say? I'm a weirdo. I like the pressure.
You know what? And no, it just makes you an actress. It's normal.
Yeah.
I mean, people, we're kind of wired a little bit differently from everybody else. We kind of like just feed off of it. But let me ask you this, you know, Amanda, you've been doing this for a while. I mean, you're young, of course, but you've got experience for sure. What is the biggest thing about acting that you have learned that's made you a better actress?
You know, I think the real question is, what's the thing as a person that's made you a better actor? There's so much about acting that is observance based, that is understanding people, that is having a compassion and an empathy for others. And so I think those things that have grown in my life have made me a better actor, because at that point you're just able to connect with scripts better. You're able to connect with characters better. You're able to just understand people as a whole a little better. And that is only going to make you a better actor.
And I guess I may want to ask the question a little differently. Has there ever been an experience or a moment or an instance where it was like kind of a game changer for you? It was like, oh, wow. Note to self, like you took note of that and it just kind of like took your acting to another level.
Man, you're saying in personal life, anything I've taken specific note of for acting?
Well, it could be that, but more regarding the acting itself. Like as you were on set and you were working on a particular, I don't know, play, or in the middle of a project, and you just had something, you just experienced something that was kind of like maybe game changing. Like, oh man, note to self, always remember that, and it took your acting to a higher level.
You know, there is a film, an indie film I did maybe 2 years ago now, called Lily Is Here.
Okay.
And it's not released yet. We should be hearing news of that. But the story behind that film is so heart-wrenching. It's tragic, it's sad, and the experience that my character has in the film is something that I don't think anyone would ever wish to go upon.
Right.
The thing that she walks through and experience is really tragic. And there were some really intense days on set. I think my whole first week of filming, I was just crying all day, every day, what scenes were.
Yeah.
Which, as any actor would know, when you're reading that on the script, you're going, "Whew, okay, I I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to figure it out. Where do I pull this from? Can I do it? You know, all these questions are going through your head.
Absolutely.
And I did it. And I really was proud of myself walking away from some of those days on set, just feeling, I mean, so much of being an actor is intuitive too, being so in tune with your body.
Yeah.
And just my natural bodily response to things that were happening in the script, things that were happening in the scenes really surprised me, and was definitely a growing experience, just knowing, okay, I can do this. I can push myself to that limit, and I can feel proud of my work walking away at the end of the day. And so that film is the first thing that came to mind when you asked that question, was Lily is here in that movie. I feel like I did some hard work for that one.
That took you to another level.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. That upped your skill set. And you know, there's always that moment, Amanda, in this business where, you know, you've just seen something you've never seen before. It's like, you know, just one of those cataclysmic moments where it's like, oh, that's how you do this thing. You know what I mean? That you had to have that experience, or you had to even maybe witness a fellow actor do something that you couldn't believe. Like, and then I know it happens. And I love asking that question, because people that are good at this stuff, they've had experiences where it just changed the game.
Yeah.
You know, it just took them to another level.
And I also think that's constantly happening, or it should be. That should always be happening for actors. You should always be experiencing a new experience where it elevates you, even just as a person. Maybe not in technique, but it elevates your knowledge of the human experience, right?
Right.
So, I mean, growth is growth, whether it's in your personal life or it's in your career life, and they can both be used to benefit each other.
Now, Amanda, let me ask you something. How did you get started in this field, this crazy field of acting?
How did I get started?
Yeah.
Well, I did stage plays, like little productions, you know, in middle school. I did some plays in high school. You know, I actually think I have a pretty unique experience. You know, I mentioned earlier I was an athlete in high school, and I was somewhat of a thespian as well. I grew up in a church that was heavily involved in the arts and really elevated the arts in the church, which I am so grateful for, because I don't think very many churches do that. And they put a lot of emphasis on art. And so that's really how I got started, was doing fine arts at my church growing up. And so that is what gave me, I guess, the itch to want to do this as a career path. And I mean, obviously before then, I love movies. I've always loved movies. I would get very into certain films like Annie. Annie was my favorite movie growing up. I wanted to be Annie so bad. It's so funny. My mom and dad have recordings, like home videos, family home videos of me, like as 10 or 11-year-old, quoting Annie movies, like in the shower, or quoting Annie lines in the shower, you know, things like that, where it's like at a young age, I was starting to pick up on, you know, just acting and art and the fun that it is, right? And then I got involved in fine arts at my church, and then I discovered, like, this is what I want to do. So I studied it in college, and just kind of took on from there. I mean, I always knew that I wanted to be a film actor, because I loved movies so much growing up. But then having the stage experience in high school made me just want to explore that more. But I always knew I would come back to film and television.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you, Amanda, you're killing it in the acting field. You're a part of some really solid stuff out there. You really are. And one of them is the series Breakers. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Breakers Saving Harper Ross is the full title. And that is a limited series. And it's basically, I would describe it as a groundhog type of situation where the same day gets lived over and over again. And my character, Harper Ross, gets into some trouble and she needs a little help. And I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it out there. You'll just have to watch it. But it's really fun. I would say it's along the line of a sci-fi action drama.
Okay.
Those three genres kind of combined into one.
Now, you're also a part of the PureFlix episodic Sons of Thunder, where you play Melody. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So yes, I play Melody in the Sons of Thunder, and that's a series on PureFlix. It is produced by Randall Reeder. And my episode, so I'm in one episode, so I am a very small piece of the big story puzzle, right? Okay. And it's about this guy, Randall Reeder plays, and he's traveling across the country on his motorcycle on the search for something. And along the way, he discovers all these characters. He has some run-ins with some bad people. He has to fight some crime, solve some problems. And so my character is the waitress at this kind of dive bar, if you will, in the middle of West Texas. And so his character has to stop in there, and they get into a little bit of trouble.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to throw any spoilers to anyone who might be watching this but haven't seen it yet.
I totally understand. And ladies and gentlemen, you can see what happens on PureFlix. It's called the Sons of Thunder. Where you can see Amanda Erickson in that. And like I said, you got a lot of good stuff going there. It looks like things are really popping pretty good for you in the acting world. And then also, I saw where there's a new series coming to Spectrum Originals, produced by Paramount Television Studios and BET, called Long, Slow, Exhale. Yes. Which requires some basketball skills. With judging by the video I saw, you have quite a bit of basketball skills going for you, Amanda. That's for doggone sure. What is your background in basketball?
Yeah. My background in basketball is I started playing in second, third grade.
Okay.
Really young. Played all throughout middle school, all throughout high school, had the opportunity to play in college.
Yeah.
And I always say basketball, I was an athlete before I was an actor.
Gotcha.
And basketball was my first love. That was the first thing that I remember feeling really, really passionate about and really, really loved. And so, yeah, I played basketball. I mean, all growing up, and I don't play competitively to this day, but there's a basketball court close by that I'll go and shoot hoops at every now and then. And so I keep that skill alive. But when I heard this show was coming out, Long, Slow, Exhale, it's a drama, a basketball, female-driven drama, which I'm like, hello, that is right up my alley.
Right.
Female-centric story, which I'm all about. And so, yeah, I shot a little video just kind of showcasing some of my skills. And after the way 2020 went and casting is, a little different these days, I was like, you know what? I'm going to put myself out there. Just throw that out to the world and see what happens. So that's why I filmed that.
Well, I hope you get something back out of that. I mean, you
Me
definitely
too.
have some skills on the hardwood. How did you kind of get off that career path?
Well, going into college, I had the opportunity to join the athletic program, but I was also studying theater. And anyone who has been involved in a theater program or an athletic program knows that each one of those takes all of your time and
All your time. Yeah.
all of your dedication.
Yeah.
And so, you know, just thinking about what I wanted my future to be or what I thought my future could be, I just didn't see me going into the WNBA.
Okay.
I just didn't see that for myself. And so I wanted to pursue acting wholeheartedly and without any type of distraction. And so I chose to, put athletics to the side, which was really hard to do because I love it so much. I love sports. I'm a very athletic person. Obviously, growing up doing that my whole life, it was hard to say no. But I did. I chose to do the theater route and to just zone in on that and dedicate all my time there. And I think it's worked out pretty well so far.
I think so. I think so.
So, fingers crossed I made the right choice.
Well, judging by the skills you were exhibiting on the video that I witnessed, I think you could have made it if you wanted to. But you know what? The bottom line is you're 100% correct. I mean, either one of those paths, they take up a lot of your time. I mean, just about all of your time if you really want to be, really good at it. And sports is like a business. I mean, and now, Amanda, it's in high school now.
Oh, sure.
I mean, my brother's a high school basketball coach. He doesn't do it. It's high school basketball, and it's almost 365.
Yeah, constantly on the road for games, and then you have practice, and you have weekend practices and conditioning and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and so conversely, acting, same deal. I mean, if you really want to be good at this thing, you got to put a lot of time and effort into it. So I totally understand. It's either one or the other. You can't marry those two. There's no question about that.
Yeah, that would have been difficult.
So let me ask you this, Amanda. What advice? And you're pretty young, but I mean, you've done this a while. You have experiences. You have substantive experience in this field. What kind of advice can you leave with young actors and actresses that are thinking, contemplating right now as we speak about just making this their life? What kind of advice can you leave with them?
Don't do it. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
Obviously, I'm joking. What would my advice be? Man, there's so many different types of advice. There's very practical, real world advice like save your money.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Save your money. There's going to be more dry times than there are wet times in the industry, especially when you're starting out. So all the pennies you earn, save aside. Don't go having shopping sprees when you're first starting out.
Yeah.
So there's like very practical advice like that, that I would say. But then also, if you think you're interested in acting in the entertainment industry, then get involved in your local industry.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much right now because there's not a lot of live entertainment happening. There's not a lot of theater going on right now. But what is your local entertainment industry look like? Do you have community theaters around? Do you have a community college around that does short films or does small produced indie feature films? If you do, get involved in those things and figure out if you like it. Because if you don't like it at that stage, I guarantee you're not going to like it at any other stage.
Totally agree.
Just as much work goes into, being further along in your career as it does when you're just starting out. And so I would say get involved in your local entertainment industry and dabble in different parts of it too. Acting, being behind the scenes, being a stage manager. I've been a stage manager for many, many theater productions.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it not only gives you an appreciation for how much work and how many people are involved in putting on a show or making a movie, but it also enhances your own skill set, because
Yes.
you begin to learn all of these different avenues of careers that can be made in this world. And it just elevates what you can do and who you can be in this industry. So yeah, I would say get involved locally first.
Great advice. I think, Amanda, the biggest issue that you could run into when you're young is having misconstrued ideas of what acting is. It's the glamour, the fame, and all those different things. There's a lot of stuff that has to preclude that before you get there. It's like, be a part of the crew. I mean,
Yeah.
you may not even be acting, just be a part of the stage crew or
Yeah.
what have you, or be in the crowd scenes or do student films for no pay. And a
Yeah.
lot of them, because you got to learn how to do this thing.
Right.
And there's a lot to learn, I remember, just switch it over to comedy. I remember Chris Rock, when he started out, he was killing. Every time he went on stage, he killed. And then all of a sudden he realized that doesn't always happen. He started bombing. He
Yeah.
started bombing, and then he understood that, oh, this is a craft that has to be learned.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times the experiences are not so pleasant. They're not what you desire. So, and you find out, Amanda, okay, now do you really want to do this?
Yes.
Do I really love it as much as I thought I did? You'll find out. But you got to be willing to pay the tough price in the beginning to find out not only whether or not you love it, but whether or not you can do it. Like,
Yeah.
can I actually
Loving
do
it and
it?
doing it are two different things.
Oh my gosh, you're completely different things.
Yeah.
And then do I want to keep doing it? And there are people out there that are awesome, but they don't like the word no. They don't necessarily like the price or the dues that you have to pay to get to where you're trying to get to,
Yeah.
or they just become disenchanted and they go home. But the one that keeps banging their head or just banging at this thing and keep, slinging that sledgehammer at the wall, those are the ones that actually become your stars.
Yeah.
Real talent. I mean, real talent. They quit. So there's something to be said for perseverance as well.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I always like to say, when you think you love it, you don't love it enough.
Exactly.
You have to love what you're doing more and more and more and more, because this is a tough industry. It's a tough business. Yeah. And having a passion for something sometimes doesn't feel like enough. And so you have to keep reviving your passion and reviving your love and expanding and growing that love to make you stay in it, because it is hard and you get a lot of no's. And if you can't keep up with that, then, you will walk away from it.
Yeah.
And so, constantly fanning that flame of love that you have for movies, for film, for sound, if you want to be a sound technician, whatever it is, like, just constantly grow your love for the craft.
Yes.
Yeah.
As my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ said, before you go down this road, count the cost.
Yeah. It is real.
Just count the cost. Amanda, this has been a great convo. I'd say I really appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you.
How can fans follow you on social media or by website?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm obviously on Facebook, Amanda Joy Erickson. And you can also follow me on Instagram. I'm way more active on Instagram. And my handle is just my full name, Amanda Joy Erickson. I also have a website, which is amandajoyerickson.com. I keep it very easy for everybody. If you ever want to find me, just use my full name and I'll pop right up.
There you go. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking with the very talented Amanda Erickson on the Maurice Brown Show. You can see her in Vindication, episode 6. You can also see her in the episodic Sons of Thunder on PureFlix. She's got another episodic coming out to be determined. The date is called Washington's Armor. And that's an episodic, correct, Amanda?
It is. Some things might be shifting around with that because of COVID, but it will be accessible somewhere sometime soon. But I also want to say that I have shameless self-promotion here.
Oh, we got to hear it. Let it rip.
Later this year, probably in the end of the summer, beginning of the fall, I have an episode of Animal Kingdom, which will be on TNT coming out.
Awesome.
And also in the new series of The Orville, which is a sci-fi drama directed and produced by Seth Bargan. Okay. And that will be coming out sometime this year as well. Or Seth MacFarlane. Oh my gosh, I said Seth. I said the wrong name. That is not good to do. I wonder why. Seth MacFarlane for The Orville, and that'll be on Hulu.
Well, it's okay. We're still live. You caught yourself. It's all good, Amanda.
I'm not taking any heat from that because I said it right.
Now, the episodic on TNT,
yes.
How many seasons would that be?
So I think there's 5 seasons. I believe they just started shooting their 6th and final season, but I'm on, oh, thank you, Venus. But I'm on season 5.
Oh, wow. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Okay, good stuff. So we've had the pleasure of hanging out with Amanda Erickson on the Maurice Brown Show. And if you've been able to hang out the entire time and you like it, you've enjoyed it, like it, and share it, and subscribe to the Maurice Brown Comedy Channel on YouTube. If you came in late and you went, gosh, I missed it, it's okay, because tonight at about 8 p.m., you can see the replay on the Creative Motion Network on Roku TV. So check that out as well. We've been talking with Amanda Erickson on the Maurice Brown Show. Once again, Amanda, thank you so much for being on the show. And may the peace of the Lord be with you and your family. God bless you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It has been an absolute pleasure. And remember, everybody, if you missed this, Creative Motion Network tonight at 8 p.m. on Roku TV with Amanda Erickson. God bless you, Amanda. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.